I've been playing a lot of Sims lately as I try to make Sim Equestria videos and do My Little Pony reviews. After Stranger Than Fan Fiction aired, I had to work a lot on Darren Do and Cavaleron because I wanted to get them exploring tombs and stuff, and I got really fascinated with the whole tomb exploring thing. The thing of it is that exploring tombs and going on adventures in The Sims is a new experience, and it's quite different than just living your day-to-day life in your house. It's interesting at first, but after a while it does tend to get a bit old, and there are some new frustrations and confusions that happen when playing The Sims, and these are just some of my little rants and observations. When you first start these adventures, you need to collect visa points so you can stay longer in each country, and to collect gold coins, a new currency that's separate from the in-game currency that The Sims normally make, and can only be made through doing adventures. There doesn't seem to be any way to cheat these things up either, so the only way to really get them is to do the adventures. There's also a lot of objects and items that are exclusive to the adventures, mostly gems and statues and sculptures and jewels and things, but also a couple of tools that help you adventure more efficiently, like a legendary axe that can break huge boulders, or a pair of magical eyes that allow you to teleport. In order to get to these major quests that help you do really cool stuff, you have to knock some of the smaller ones out of the way first. And a lot of the smaller quests have you just running around fetching stuff like rocks and bugs and plants and fish and things. The problem that I had with this is it was something new to me that I hadn't really experienced too much before, and I wasn't too knowledgeable on how to do it. I wasn't aware of the fact that there was a map that would show you the locations of everything from up in the air from this map view, and I didn't quite catch on to that. You see, it turns out there's a little icon in the corner of your screen of some skyscrapers, and that takes you to the map, and the map marks on it where everything is. You get to the same exact map by saying travel to and clicking on one of your vehicles. But when you travel to some place, the icons for the objects that you want to hunt don't show up. That only happens on the map. When you say click on a vehicle and click travel to, you get to travel in your favorite vehicle. Once you get some of the simpler, more fetch questy stuff out of the way, another complaint that I have is sometimes these fetch quests will send you to the country that you're not currently in, which means you have to go home and then switch countries. And once you go home, you have to wait 2 full days before your Sim's even willing to go on vacation and go to another country again. So it's a lot of waiting around if you have to go from one country to a second country just to get stuff done. When it comes to these sorts of missions, it's best to save those for the end of your trip. Otherwise, you're going to be sort of sitting around wasting a lot of time. And you can't take 2 adventures at the same time in one country. You can have multiple adventures going at the same time if you go to multiple countries, but not in the same country. The next level up from this in adventures is the ones that are generally fun because they have you doing a lot of puzzle solving, pushing things, and it feels like a real adventure. There's lots of hidden switches and traps that actually most of the traps aren't lethal, but some of them can be. but I haven't encountered any, and I've been playing for several days. I haven't encountered any truly lethal traps, but if you do want to avoid being caught on fire, I do suggest bringing cans of portable shower. That does put the fires out if there isn't another water source nearby, and there usually is. Steam traps are very non-lethal, and while the electricity traps might be lethal, I haven't had myself electrocuted to death, only electrocuted to singed. As you go on in your adventure, you eventually find places that are blocked by large boulders that you can't smash, which is why I suggest starting in China when you're on your adventures. China is where you get the item that you smash the boulders with. This item is a giant axe that is hidden inside one of the temples, and you can only enter that temple when you're on a mission, and you can only get that mission by doing other missions before it. But once you get that mission unlocked, you'll be able to get the axe, and then you can start smashing boulders as long as the axe is still in your inventory. The same thing with those teleporting eyes that are in Egypt, which allow you to appear and disappear and move around to different places. But they're not nearly as vital as the boulder smashing axes, so I would focus on getting that out of the way first. Each of the areas also has items that are exclusive to buying in them. China has the martial arts stuff, Egypt has the snake charming basket, and France has the grape stomping stuff. Although I was able to get grape stomping stuff by building a lot and marking it as a nectary. So the first group of stuff that really annoyed me with this game is simply just not knowing stuff. If you don't pay attention to your map, you can get lost easy, and a lot of places have weird names. A lot of quests also like to send you to other countries, which makes you wait a while. Sometimes the country makes you not only wait a while, but punishes you for allowing your food to go bad, or for not catching your food in the wild. As you know, sometimes quests do ask you to get food and bring it back, and they want it to be in perfect condition. The next thing that annoys me is that after you've done a lot of quests more seldomly pop up on these bulletin boards. Sometimes you have to check them 100 times before a randomized quest will finally pop up and be one that's in your favor. You might even be asked to do quests that you've already accomplished. Because of this, it can be kind of time consuming just waiting for quests to pop up on these bulletin boards, and you know there's more out there because there are buildings that you clearly haven't explored yet. And those quests just sometimes never roll around in your favor. And then the other thing I want to rant about is the fact that sometimes your sim can get glitched and stuck inside a solid object or some other area where they should be able to walk to, but they keep responding as if there's a solid object in the way when there clearly isn't. I've had more than one quest ruined by a sim glitching and being unable to walk to places. But when you go back home and return to that country, sometimes the glitches work themselves out and you're able to get around again. Other times a glitch is just not anything too vital, you know, to not worry about it. These sort of issues don't feel really that bad when I look back at them, but at the time when I was having them, they were extremely frustrating. Now that I know more about the exploring stuff, the whole idea of exploring is getting old, I feel like I understand a lot about it and have these terms pretty much mastered and have a very good understanding of how they work. Sure, traps and switches and things can sometimes be hidden in some place really obscure and easy to overlook, but I guess that's how that kind of stuff is supposed to work. The puzzles aren't that hard when you really think about it, then it's not too difficult to get through all of them. It's just really frustrating when you first do it and don't know what you're doing. Once you learn, it's not so bad. My overall suggestion is go to China first and get the required items that help you unlock new areas. You can also learn the martial arts skill, which is helpful for fighting mummies that you frequently encounter at each of the locations during your vacation. France is a decent area if you want to have an easy time and not do anything too challenging or too dangerous. But if you want the danger and the challenge and what I might even argue is the fun of it all, Egypt is definitely the place to do your exploring. And if you have the Paradise Island expansion pack and are living in Paradise Island, in addition, you can also pick up treasures under the water, in addition to the 3 foreign countries that also have treasures. And if you give your sim kleptomania, you can have them swipe a few extra treasures on the side every so often. Most of the time I feel like you're either running out of time to do your vacation stuff and being halted in the middle, although sometimes that's been a lifesaver, or you are going to a foreign country and having it ended early because a mission required you to hop back home for a while. Overall, I would say if you're playing the game and a mission requires you to go to another country, don't do it. Knock out of the way all of the ones that require you to stay in the country that you're in currently. If you do end up halfway into a mission and have to quit it, the easiest way to clear out your opportunities is to switch families and then switch back to the family that was adventuring, and then sort of reset yourself and then choose another type of adventure and not worry about things. When it does come to adventuring, it's good to have all of your Sims in the same tomb. If you split them up and try to juggle 2 or 3 locations simultaneously, it takes up too much time and you end up making no progress. When you are on an adventure, you really do want all of your Sims in one place so that they can help each other out. When they're spread out across a wider distance, it's just too hard to juggle between them, and you end up with like 5 Sims doing one tiny piece of 5 different missions, and neither of the 5 accomplishing anything. But if you have 5 Sims in one tomb, then they can solve 5 different puzzles simultaneously, and it sort of speeds up the exploration process. Although some tombs are built for Sims to move around one at a time. It also helps when you're going through the areas to pay attention to signs and read stuff. And remember to always use every object in the room, even if you don't think it would open anything. Sometimes switches are hidden inside everyday objects. And reading signs can help you find clues as to what to do next on your adventures. In my upcoming Sims projects, I'm going to keep on Sim Equestria, and I'm going to review the episodes of My Little Pony as they come out. And as long as Season 6 hasn't started, I'm going to stay on My Little Pony out of convenience. But I'm also going to give myself a new challenge on the side. During the break between My Little Pony seasons, I'm going to try making original families that are not based on fan franchises. Anyhow, that's all for my rants and updates. Thank you for watching, and good night.